In late 1993, Ayrton Senna stood at the peak of global sport, and yet paradoxically at one of the most frustrating points of his career. He was already a three-time world champion, a driver whose name transcended Formula One and entered the realm of mythology. But behind the visor, Senna was restless. Formula One had changed. Politics mattered as much as lap time. Technology mattered more than bravery, and Senna, more than anyone, understood exactly where power truly lived. That understanding led him down an extraordinary path, one that almost rewrote Formula One history. For a brief, intense moment at the end of 1993, Senna came within touching distance of becoming not just a driver, but a team owner. The team was Jordan Grand Prix. The proposed name was nothing short of audacious: Senna Grand Prix Racing. And the deal on the table was so radical it still feels unreal decades later. A champion trapped by his own team. By 1993, Senna's relationship with McLaren was at breaking point. Once the benchmark of Formula One, McLaren had lost its technological edge. The all-conquering Honda engines were gone. Active suspension, one of Senna's greatest weapons, had been banned. What remained was Senna's sheer brilliance, dragging an underpowered McLaren forward to victories it had no business achieving. Senna won 5 races in 1993. On paper, it was a remarkable season. In reality, it was exhausting. He knew he was driving at the limit of human possibility while others were benefiting from superior machinery. Worse still, he felt boxed in by politics. Contracts, vetoes, and power plays defined the paddock. Senna didn't just want to drive anymore, he wanted control. That desire made him uniquely receptive to an idea most drivers would never even consider: Eddie Jordan's boldest gamble. The man on the other side of this story is Eddie Jordan, one of Formula One's great characters. Loud, charming, endlessly optimistic, and perpetually short on cash. Jordan Grand Prix had entered Formula One in 1991 and quickly earned respect for punching above its weight. The team was clever, agile, and fearless, but always financially vulnerable. Jordan understood something fundamental: talent attracts money. By 1993, he was fighting to secure long-term stability. Sponsors came and went. Cash flow was fragile. And then, almost unbelievably, a door cracked open. Senna was unhappy. Senna wanted leverage. And Jordan saw the opportunity of a lifetime. Years later, Jordan would publicly confirm what many insiders had long whispered. He offered Senna 50% of the team, free of charge. No buy-in, no upfront capital, just one condition: Senna would drive for the team and stay on as a co-owner. In modern Formula One terms, the offer borders on insanity. In 1993, it was visionary, the logic behind the madness. Jordan's reasoning was brutally simple. With Senna, Jordan Grand Prix would no longer be a small team. It would instantly become a global brand. Sponsors who ignored Jordan would line up overnight. Television exposure would explode. Political influence would multiply. Jordan famously explained that his remaining share of a team with Senna would be worth far more than owning 100% of a team without him. It was not sentiment, it was math. Senna wasn't just a driver, he was an economic force. For Senna, the appeal ran even deeper. Ownership meant autonomy. No more being a hired gun. No more internal vetoes. No more compromising his values. With equity in a team, Senna could shape its philosophy, its culture, its long-term direction. It would have been the ultimate evolution of his career, from champion to architect. How close did it really get? There is no signed contract, no notarized agreement, and that has fueled skepticism for years. But multiple sources, including Jordan himself, have consistently described the talks as advanced. This was not a casual paddock conversation. This was a serious negotiation between representatives, involving lawyers, sponsors, and future projections. Senna reportedly visited the Jordan factory. Discussions went beyond driving terms and into structure. How would funding be split? How much technical input would Senna have? What role would sponsors play in a team now bearing his name? Jordan was effectively offering Senna something unprecedented: control without immediate risk. But that same lack of certainty was also the deal's greatest weakness. The risk beneath the romance. Jordan Grand Prix was still a young team. It had never won a race. Its future depended heavily on sponsorship rather than manufacturer backing. For Senna, stepping into ownership meant tying his legacy, and potentially his finances, to a fragile operation. And Senna, despite his passion, was not reckless with his future. At the same time these discussions were unfolding, another door was opening. One far more conventional, one far more powerful: the Williams decision. For 1994, Williams had the fastest car on the grid. Even stripped of active suspension, the Williams FW16 was expected to dominate. Senna knew this. Everyone did. The choice before him was stark. Jordan represented vision, control, and risk. Williams represented certainty, speed, and a clear shot at a fourth world championship. In the end, Senna chose the machine. It is crucial to understand this was not a rejection of Jordan's ambition. It was a calculation. Senna believed championships were still best won with outright performance. Ownership could come later. There would be time. Tragically, there wasn't. The window that never reopened. Senna signed with Williams for 1994. The Jordan discussions faded into history, unresolved but unforgettable. Had Senna lived, it is entirely possible the ownership dream would have resurfaced. With his global influence, he could have reshaped Formula One's power structure in ways no driver ever has. But on May 1st, 1994, at Imola, everything ended. The failed takeover was frozen in time, forever a what-if. Why this story still matters. The near-Senna takeover of Jordan Grand Prix is not just an intriguing footnote, it reveals something essential about Formula One's evolution. Even at its highest level, the sport has always been driven by control. Who has it, who wants it, and who is denied it. Senna understood earlier than most that the cockpit was no longer the ultimate seat of power. Ownership was, equity was, influence was. Eddie Jordan, for his part, demonstrated extraordinary foresight. He was willing to sacrifice ownership for survival, ego for scale, control for relevance. That kind of thinking would later become standard in modern Formula One. But in 1993, it was revolutionary. The cost of control. In the end, neither man got what he wanted. Senna never became an owner. Jordan never became Senna Grand Prix Racing. Formula One lost the chance to see its greatest driver redefine the sport from the inside. What remains is a haunting alternative timeline, one where Senna built something instead of just driving it, one where Jordan's gamble paid off beyond imagination, one where control replaced compromise. And perhaps that is why this story still resonates, because it shows that even legends can come heartbreakingly close to changing history and still miss it by inches. Senna understood power not as domination but as responsibility. Ownership to him was not wealth, it was authorship. The chance to decide who got an opportunity, which ideas deserved oxygen, and how talent should be protected rather than consumed. Jordan, for all his bravado, sensed that gravity and was willing to orbit it. Had it happened, the paddock would have felt different. Drivers might have spoken differently to teams. Engine suppliers might have listened instead of dictated. Young talent might have been nurtured instead of traded. Instead, Formula One chose familiarity over risk. It chose balance sheets over belief. And in doing so, it preserved its order, but lost its evolution. What lingers is not regret, but curiosity. The sense that greatness sometimes asks to be trusted twice, once on the track, and once beyond it. If this story moved you, challenged you, or made you rethink what power really means in Formula One, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which Untold F1 story you want uncovered next.